I'm Lizzie Harrison for Card Player TV, here with Layne Flack. Layne, thank you so much for being here today.
Such a pleasure, Lizzie.
So what I wanted to talk to you about was what you're known for, your aggression.
My aggression?
Your aggression at the table.
At a card table?
You're an aggressive guy altogether, but we'll keep it on the table. So when you first entered the poker scene, you were one of the most aggressive players. How was that received, and did it help you become really successful?
Well, when I hit the scene, you know, there wasn't a lot of aggressive players.
Right. Did you actively come out planning to do that, or?
I actually, I started out playing in Montana where the limits were low. It was easy to be in a dealer. I mean, most dealers are like fast players, and they're having fun. And I learned at low limits, and when I come in, I just basically applied what I had learned there, with the exception of my ability to read players. Mm-hmm. And then it worked. And then with that and moving up the ladder as you go, the experience really took over.
So how quickly did you move up the ladder? Did you just
I moved up the ladder way too fast.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, in Montana, the biggest games you can play are like 10, 20, $300 pound. I come down to Vegas for the first time and played the Hall of Fame, and I won it. And all of a sudden, I'm jumping into 300, 600 Omaha high-low game with Johnny Chan, Sam Grizzle, Dave the Devilfish. It was like a four-handed game. I won like 26,000. I'm like, how hard can this be?
Well, when you first started playing, did you ever expect that the general American public would basically emulate your style?
That's a strange question. I've been told that a lot. I'll say this, and I've said it before, it's the only sport where we taught people how to beat us. And if this style works, people were going to emulate it. And I mean, when I hit the scene, I won everything. It was just like, amazing. Then Danny Negreanu came out and actually did the same thing. We followed together and we talked and chatted and what style worked. Mm-hmm. But then as you move up limits and start playing higher limits and stuff, and you see that fast aggression doesn't really work in high limit cash games.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, there's
people have deep pockets.
Yeah, there's that, and there's a thing called value betting, and that's more important than trying to steamroll, because these guys have been around for a long time. You're not just going to run them over.
Right, that makes sense. So how did you have to adapt your game as you moved on in your poker career?
Well, right until the internet hit and everything, and all the kids started learning that's the way to go. Now I had to revert back to defense instead of offense, because if it's offense, you're just another player.
But does your table image, your loose table image, still work for you?
It's a mirage.
It's a mirage.
So you can appear to be the fastest player in the world and not be, and vice versa. You just got to mix it up very good. I used to have like 16 different speeds, 4 different zones, and when they come together, game on.
So what do you do if you sit down at a table and you can tell that it's just a ton of maniacs, a lot of aggressive players? You just switch gears, slow completely down?
100%.
Yeah.
You don't get no. What do you say? Can we? You don't get a cockfight with them. You know what I mean? It's you do. For the general thing about poker is, if you're at a loose table, you play tight. If you're at a tight table, you play loose. That's the way, that's strategy, basic strategy.
What do you do if you have a table that's like 50-50? There's a couple rocks, you can see there's a couple amateurs, there's some pros, there's aggressive players.
That's just simply based on your position then at the table.
Okay.
And then you pick the ones, there's targets to shoot at the table, and there's ones that you should just leave alone. And just play accordingly, play your cards in. You got a pretty even table, you just let your cards do the work.
What do you think that it takes to succeed as a poker pro in the current climate?
Patience. A lot of patience. Tight is right. Ted Forrest says to me, he says, Layne, there's 100 things in poker you got to do right. If you can't do 98 of them, don't play.
Really?
You're just not going to make it. Because less than 2% of the people in poker can make a living playing poker. And now your pocket's got to be deep. If you're playing tournament play,
right?
It's so expensive to be out here for a year.
But it's just so much bigger than it was just a short time ago. How much do you think it's going to change in the coming years?
I think it's going to flatten out.
Really?
Come off, sure.
What kind of changes do you think you might have to make to your game as players still begin to get more and more aggressive?
I think as it flattens out, it's gonna balance. Like a lot of the kids that come out and made a lot of money, 80% of them are going to be gone.
Really? Do you think they're going to lose the money, or are they going to take the money and run?
It's just a hard life. It's a hard life for people to endure.
Okay, well.
It's a good life and a hard life. Whatever.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you today.
You're welcome.
I'm Lizzie Harrison with Layne Flack for Card Player TV.